Hello candidates, welcome to Manifested e-learning platform. Today we are going to continue learning about the topic Introduction to Public Sector Accounting. It's a continuation from where we stopped in our last lesson. Today we want to proceed to a different subtopic, which is Introduction. The topic is Introduction to Public Sector Accounting. Introduction to Public Sector Accounting, and the subtopic is Regulatory Structures and Oversight. Regulatory Structures and Oversight. This is the subtopic, Regulatory Structures and Oversight. By the end of this subtopic, you should be able to have learned about the mandate, establishment, mandate, and functions of the international public sector accounting standards board. Number two is the Public Sector Accounting Standard Board. Number three is the Director. This is 2-3. Director of Accounting Services. These are regulatory structures which have been put in place to regulate the recording of financial statements in the public sector and providing oversight roles over the financial management in the public sector. Director of Accounting Services. Number four is the National Treasury. Number five, parliamentary committees. Number six is the accounting officers at national and county levels. So by the end of this subtopic, regulatory structures and oversight, you are going to study the establishment, the mandate, and the functions of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, the Director of Accounting Services, the National Treasury, parliamentary committees, accounting officers at both national and county levels. Okay, is that clear, candidates? Now let's start with the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. International Public Sector International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. This is the full. This is the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. It's a board, okay? A board. Now, the International Accounting Standards Board develops accounting standards and also gives guidance on the preparation of financial statements for the public sector entities. In our first lesson, we mentioned examples of public sector entities in Kenya. These comprise the state corporations, the government, first the government, the state corporations. We mentioned colleges that are funded by the government, the universities that are funded by the government, and so on and so forth. So for such entities, those are public sector entities, the preparation of the financial statements of such entities is done under the guidance of accounting standards that are issued by the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. Remember, we also distinguished the public sector entities from the private sector entities. There's a distinction, and in our previous topics we have seen how to prepare the financial statements of the private sector entities, starting from the sole proprietorships, the partnerships, the companies, and the not-for-profit making organizations, including the manufacturing entities. So the IPSAS, IPSAB, the IPSASB, the IPSASB, International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, I've said, develops accounting standards and guidance for use by public sector entities, for use by the public sector entities, public sector entities. Now, these structures and processes that support the operations of IPSASB. All right, the structures and processes that support the operations of this board are facilitated by IFAC, are facilitated by IFAC, the International Federation of Accountants, the International Federation of Accountants. These candidates, you remember, we came across this federation in topic 1, where we said that IFAC, through its independent standards setting boards, develops accounting standards on 1, ethics, 2, auditing and assurance, 3, education, and 4, public sector accounting standards. So this board, the IPSAS board, is one of the independent boards of IFAC, which has been tasked to come up with international public sector accounting standards, international public sector accounting standards. In other words, this board works under the auspices of IFAC. It works under the auspices of IFAC, where auspices means support. Okay, support or control. IFAC does not directly set standards, but it has put in place boards in setting up international accounting standards in ethics, auditing and assurance, education, and public sector accounting standards, public sector accounting standards. So I wanted you to get the link. We mentioned the functions of IFAC, the formation of IFAC, when we are starting the subject in topic number 1. So we have said that the structures and processes of this board are facilitated by IFAC. Very important point. Then another important point is in relation to the strategic objective of the board. This board has one single strategic objective. One single strategic objective. So I want you to put down that objective. You can write and say IPSASB. IPSASB. The International Public Sector Accounting Standard Board's single strategic objective is, and this objective, let me put the years, is important because you're supposed to understand the establishment. The single strategic objective since 2015, which is the strengthening of financial management, which is strengthening public financial management and knowledge globally through increasing adoption of the accrual-based standards. Okay, knowledge globally through increasing accrual-based standards, accrual-based standards, or let me say IPSAS, accrual-based accrual-based IPSAS by one developing high quality public sector financial reporting standards. That is one. Then number two, developing other publications for the public sector. Number three is raising awareness of IPSAS, and the benefits of their adoption. All right, benefits of their adoption. benefits of the adoption. That's why sometimes candidates, you are asked to give importance or the benefits of adoption of IPSAS. You should expect such a question in your exam, because I saw it in August 2008. There's a question that asks candidates to explain, enumerate the benefits of adopting IPSAS. So this is the core, the single. This is the objective of the board since 2015. Since 2015, and we have mentioned something to do with accrual-based standards. In a short while, I'll be explaining what that means, what we mean by the accrual-based standards. And I know you have a clue, because remember we discussed again in topic 1 the accrual concept. Remember the accrual concept, and there is also the cash-based standard. So let me continue with the mandate. We are talking about the mandate and establishment of this board, International Public Standards, International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, Now, I mentioned something to do with 2015. Since 2015, the board put in place a single most very important strategic objective, but I need to mention that before 2015, this board was operational. The board was operational, and let me say since 1997, the International Public Sector Accounting Board, since 1997, has developed and issued 39, this is 38, has issued 38 accrual-based standards, and just one cash-based standards. This one cash-based standard is a standard that has been put in place for those organizations or entities that are in the process of moving away from the cash-based accounting standards towards the accrual-based standards. So this was in the year 1997, and in October 2014, candidates, in October 2014, the board, International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, issued the first global conceptual framework for public sector entities. For the first time, global conceptual framework was issued in 2014. This is 2014. Now this conceptual framework, underpins the board's standard setting activities. Underpins the board standard setting and activities. The underpins means on the basis of, all right? The conceptual framework underpins the standard setting activities of the board. It is upon the basis of this new framework that was released for the first time in 2014 that all the standard setting activities of the board are performed. And one of the important things to note about these activities or the process of setting the International Public Sector Accounting Standards is that the board incorporates the views of all the stakeholders, of those who may be interested in using the International Public Standards Board. It collects views and incorporates the views of the either users or the parties who may be interested in this in the financial statements prepared on the basis of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. In other words, candidates, in other words, I'm saying I'm using other words, all right? The board, in other words, the board follows a very structured and public due process in the development of IPSAS. Public due process, structured, okay, very structured and public due process in the development of IPSAS. So that is very important to note. It's important to note when talking about establishment of the board. It was established towards the end of 1996. Okay, and since then it has issued 38 accrual-based standards. All right, I've mentioned the year there. Then in 2014, see the chronology. In 2014, the board issued a global conceptual framework for public sector entities. In 2015, the board came up with a single strategic objective. So that one, learners, I think is enough for us to understand the mandate. That helps us understand the mandate and the establishment of the International Public Sector Standard Board. We also mentioned that this board works under the auspices of the International Federation of Accountants. It is one of the independent boards of the International Federation of Accountants. So let me now maybe do what? Come to the last part here, raising awareness. I had written here, raising awareness of IPSAS and the benefits of their adoption. Now, on the basis of that, let me discuss the importance of adoption of international public sector international public sector accounting standards. Importance or benefits. What are the benefits that may accrue to an organization or a government or a public sector entity for adopting the international public sector accounting standards? This is the importance, let me call it importance of international public sector accounting standards. Importance. And this is in the answer to the question that was tested in August pilot paper 2009. Number one, the standards improves accountability, transparency, and disclosure of government activities, and resources. Disclosure of government activities and resources to the public. Improves accountability, because here, candidates, we are talking of standards. The government is supposed to disclose, is supposed to record certain items, the assets, the liabilities in a certain way. There are also levels of disclosure that is required in accordance to the standards. The recognition of assets, recognition of liabilities. That will improve accountability, transparency, and disclosure. Number two, the second point is that improves reliability. Improves reliability of accounts and boosts the confidence of external agencies. These are bodies that rely on the accounts, all right? External agencies such as, let me say, such as donors on the dependability of the accounts. It boosts confidence. If donors know that the government has prepared its records or accounts based on the international public sector accounting standards, then they will have confidence in the financial statements as provided by the government. The third point 3, is that use of IPSAS across public sector entities, okay, and even the government enhances what we call comparability, among the public sector entities and the government. It's easy to compare if all the entities have prepared their statements or kept their records in accordance to a standard. You can only compare if the records have been prepared in a certain way, standard way. So it enhances comparability. Number four, The fourth point is that enables the government and the public at large, to do what? To assess, not access, but to assess. To assess performance. To assess performance of public sector entities. Okay, that means the standards will facilitate measurement of efficiency and effectiveness in the utilization of public resources, in the utilization of public resources. All right. This will help in facilitating the measurement of the effectiveness and the efficiency of the utilization of public resources by these public sector entities, That is number 4. Let me do number 5 here. Number 5, improves consistency in preparation of financial statements, and this in turn enables users to draw consistent conclusions given similar sets of financial statements. It's possible to come up or draw consistent conclusions given similar set of financial statements. Then lastly, number 6 leads to improvement in audit of public entities, thereby translating, and this translates, let me put full stop, leads to improvement in audit of public entities, full stop. This translates into timely audit reports, audit reports, because there is a standard on how items are supposed to be prepared or treated. Becomes very easy when the employers or those charged with the utilization of public resources, if they have a standard on how they're supposed to maintain the records, how they're supposed to recognize assets and abilities, it will be very easy to keep the records, and even auditing. The auditing of such work will be easy because the auditor has a basis upon which he can carry out examination of the accounts as presented to him by the public sector entities. And since the auditor has information or a standard on how the public sector entities are supposed to record their transactions, then even auditing of such work becomes easy, and that will lead to timely audit reports from the auditor. So, candidates, that will mark the end of our today's lesson in financial accounting, the topic Introduction to Public Sector Accounting, where we introduce the subtopic regulatory structures and oversight. We have done the regulatory structure, which is the International Public Sector Accounting Board. All right, International Public Sector Accounting Standard Board. We have defined the mandate and establishment and the functions plus the benefits of the International Public Sector Accounting Standard Board. In our next lesson, we are going to tackle the next structure, regulatory structure, which is the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. For now, I will refer you to the revision partner where there are questions that have been tested on this topic and the subtopic. For those who are preparing for exams, make sure you go through the questions at the back here. The questions is the last topic, and the last topic, there are several questions that will be helpful for you if you are preparing for the examination. Be keen on this topic. The examiner has a tendency of including questions from this topic in every sitting. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to get yourself a copy of our professionally prepared study text and revision partners.